Town of Yarmouth Accessibility Committee. It is Tuesday, July the 13th. Here we go. I'll give Mike a minute to hit record.
You're good. It's been recording for a sec.
Okay. Okay, first I would like to acknowledge that we are a people on the Micmac lands. Record of attendance has been done. Absence and regrets have been recorded. Declaration of conflict of interest, once again, if there's any conflict of interest on any of the matters that we are discussing, please state so at the time. I'm gonna ask Tracy, are you prepared to talk about Yakro, or your mic's off?
Yeah, no, I actually, I saw on the minutes or the agenda that there wasn't anything put on there. So I couldn't remember if we had bumped it to September or not.
I don't know what happened there, but.
So I did have some people prepared, but because it wasn't there, there's a lot going on right now. We have some of our directors also from the Clyde River area, and their houses were quite affected. Okay. They were quite happy if we were able to bump it to September.
Okay.
For the Yakro.
I have no problem with that, and I understand these are, as a matter of fact, I'm going to make mention of in our chair report. This has been kind of an interesting time with all of the forest fires going on. So I'm just really going to move on here. As we go into the approval of the agenda, did everyone receive a copy of the last agenda that was dated May 9th? Did you get a chance to read through it?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, that's the minutes, I think, that you're looking at.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, my eyes are crossed tonight.
The agenda, I did have an item to add if possible, but I'm not sure. I know we changed some of the rules at council around adding things last moment, and I'm not sure if that applies to committees as well. I don't know. Gil, do you know if it does?
I don't know. Likely it should, but I don't think it has been decreed as yet.
It's nothing controversial if you'll entertain it. It's about core boards. I sent an email quickly today about it. Just an idea of something that I think we could look at as a committee. It's not, I guess it is an addition to the agenda. If you would like to add it, if not, we can add it to the next time we meet.
Okay, that's the first time hearing of this, to be honest. So.
If it's just for an information purposes, I wouldn't see any reason why we couldn't add it to the agenda, so I'd make that motion.
Okay, there's Lori. Okay, I'm not going to jump ahead here, but approval of the agenda. Does everybody have a copy of the agenda? Everybody see a copy of the agenda here?
Yes.
Anybody like to add anything to it? I'm just going to jump ahead here. Gil, can you talk about the blind square? Tonight, I didn't have much luck finding it.
Yeah, no, I'll. It's just an information thing, and perhaps for future action. So yes, I can speak to it very briefly.
Perfect. So does everybody approve of the agenda as it's listed?
Mr. Chair, can I just get again from Mr. Lesser what 10C new business for your information he wants to add?
Yeah, I thought I sent an email today about it, but maybe I didn't press send in the end. It's about core boards.
COREBOARDS.
Yep.
So, Mr. Chair, we just need that approved to add to the agenda under new business 10C.
Okay.
So I'd make a motion to approve the agenda with that addition.
I need a second on that, please.
I don't know if I can second if I had the.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody not approve? Perfect. Okay, moving on. I have a chair update. It's a bit of a hodgepodge tonight. A little bit of everything. First of all, I want to talk about one piece that Natalie sent to me. I will send you a copy of it. But is there any way, Natalie, that you can bring that up, the email you sent me today on Joint Advisory Board?
Mr. Chair, I'll take a look for it and then bring it to the screen if you want to talk about something else while I look for it.
Okay. That was just an email that I got from Natalie. I don't know if anybody can see it. I will send a copy of it out to you. They are looking for 12 participants of Nova Scotia to advise on the Nova Scotia Minister of Justice on the Accessibility Board. I'll send that out. If you think it's something that you'd be interested in, please take a look at it. Also, reading from the federal level, the federal government is looking for some people to advise or have their input on outdoor spaces. Again, I'll send you an email on that. What else did I have come across this week? First of all, also talking about the Gussie Walk and the Autism Walk that took place on June 3rd and 4th. I can tell you firsthand, the Gussie Walk didn't happen. I had to make a call that I'm still questioning myself about this week, but due to at the time, the smoke levels, weather reports and stuff like that, me along with a bunch of other people made the report that we would postpone the Gussie Walk in Yarmouth for this year. I am looking at having some other fundraising event, but that's still kind of up in the air right now. I know talking to people that held the Autism Walk, they had difficulties too. And I can tell you what, as an asthmatic, these forest fires, these allergies, this weather, I apologize up front. You're going to hear me sniffing a lot tonight. That's just where I'm at right now. Also working, looking at, I want to congratulate Derek on the launch of his book. I look forward to reading it. Thank you to Mike for getting us up and running. I've seen the Facebook article, and I don't know how we did it, but he made us all look good. So thank you, Mike, for that. I remind you of the open streets that are coming up on the 29th of July and the 30th of August. Please, if you can take part in those, I look forward to having the accessibility crew take part in those, and as well as any others. There's Peter. Good day, Peter.
Good day.
Moving on, also, I want to say a big thank you to all of those in the event that somebody is actually reading this. There are not words to express the thank you to all the volunteers and firemen from what I'm getting all around the world that have taken part in helping Nova Scotia these past couple of weeks. I wasn't aware until Tracy mentioned it that it kind of affected Yakro and things like that. I know it's been a major event, So I know here in Yarmouth, some of our own folks opened the fire hall, opened it up for people that needed someplace just to crash. Thank you for that. Thank you for your hard work. That is all that I have in the way of a chair's report. We are closing for the summer. I won't say closing, we'll still be around. If anyone needs to reach out to us, we just won't officially be meeting again until probably later September. So I'm gonna move on here. If anybody has any questions or concerns, please interrupt me. Moving on.
Mr. Chair, just one comment on what you said about the firemen and the volunteers. Something that I noticed, and I think anybody with access, well, not from my own point of view, but with my mother, I think we need to be aware, and we need to remind people that people should be checking in with people with different accessibility issues, because the news was frightening to a lot of people, thinking, things were going to come, but people with mobility issues for sure, vision, hearing, and they're, concerned about what's going to happen. If you have hearing issues, you might have missed the alerts coming through. Mobility issues, you're wondering if the fire came close, how would you get out, and is there a plan for that? So it is something, to look forward in the future, I guess, to get the community, to remind the community to try to have plans to look out for one another in those situations.
I think you're absolutely right, Derek. And one of the events, or one of the issues that I've found with this event, with these fires, and with planning this gutsy walk and trying to reach out to people, is there's kind of a balance here where you want to respect people's privacy, but at the same time you want to be able to reach out. There were some people that I absolutely wanted to reach out to, but didn't know how, because I didn't have their phone number. All I had was an email address or Facebook page, and that's only as good if you know as well as email. Email's only as good if you read it. Facebook's only good if you read it. Text, etc. But at the same time, you want to respect people's privacy. So I found it a balancing act. Does everybody understand where I'm coming with that? So I think it comes down to being neighborly. If you know your neighbor needs a little extra help, go check on them.
And I think we're really good at that in the Maritimes, and I mean, there's tons of stories about that. And I'm sure people were doing it. I'm just thinking, to have some kind of more of a concrete plan, especially for people with, I'm thinking, more mobility issues. Is there a plan in place if they're, to evacuate if they need to quickly?
Yep. It would be nice to have a list of people that may need an extra hand, like a list that we could reach out to them in such an event, but at the same time respect their privacy. I don't know how that really goes. I think you know what I'm talking about, but I don't know how to really do it. I'm going to give you an example. Nova Scotia Power, for people that are on home oxygen or other type of electrical medical equipment, will call you in the event of a power failure and say, okay, we suspect your power will be out for such and such a time. If you have any issues, give us a call. But you have to register to do that. I only know this because we had to do it with my dad. That's a nice service to have, and I kind of wish we had similar services for everybody, but I don't know how that would take shape. Because like you said, in the event that a neighbor needs help, I would like to think that they could reach out to us to get that help. Anyway, I'm rambling here, so I'm gonna move on. Accessibility Action Plan, implementation status. Natalie is going to give us a report, I guess.
Hello, everyone. It's going to be a short one. No progress with taking a look at the customer service accessibility plan. I'll try to put some eyes on that in July, August. Just as Mr. Chair had mentioned about the street open street, that's happening the last Sunday in July as well as August. If you as a group would like to participate, I would please ask you to register. So, Mr. Chair, if you'd like, I can send you another email. It's really simple to fill it in. And we can guide you through, the requirements. It's pretty simple. And also maybe, Mr. Chair, if you guys are going to be there, if you want to work with us. So if there's any promotional material or, banners, etc., I've got a little money that's in the budget that we can spend towards that. But we need to get that organized if we want to be ready for July 30th. So just suggest if you're interested, let's get you registered and let's work on a plan.
Okay. We didn't really do much with regards to, and I'm not pointing any fingers here, but we didn't do much with regards to Accessibility Week because naturally everybody's attention was elsewhere with these fires. It would be nice if we could do something on July 30th, August 27th to say, hey, guys, here we are. You have an accessibility committee in town. Talk to us. Tell us what's working, what's not working. So I think having a table out there with some promotion material, different members there to have people talk to us would be great.
Mr. Chair, I would suggest there's two positive things that the committee has supported that could be promoted. One is the Go Here app.
Yeah.
And the other one is the interactive accessibility map that we'll get that live on the site. So I think it's always good for the committee to get feedback on what we can improve, but I think this would be a great opportunity to promote what accessibility is all about, what it means to our community and the province in general, and then what things have we done so far. So where can they go to the town website to find out more information? Maybe they want to apply to be on your committee, and then also on those two apps. So again, there just needs to be a little bit of planning that needs to get done so we get prepared for that, especially with vacations coming up.
Yeah.
Natalie, I was wondering, with the accessibility map that was done and the work put into it, if there was some way downtown we could put up a few small signs with like a QR code or something that, tourists coming to town would see. Not that they would even use it, but they would see that we're conscious and aware of the need for accessibility in our community. I'm just thinking if there was something we could put on, one of the poles or a few different places with a QR code that they can go and get the information if they want. But even more than that, it would just be it'd be good promotion to say that, we're actually doing the work in Yarmouth and in Nova Scotia as well.
Mike, can I ask you to jump in as to whether we could use the Brown Street signage to put a sign that could have a QR code on it? I wouldn't want to suggest we start putting things on poles. That is not the way I would think we want to go. But Mike, is there any comment on that?
Certainly something I could look into. I can't see why not. Trying to think of other locations that might be able to do something like that, but there's got to be a way to put some QR code out there. The first thing we need to do is get that map finalized. I don't know where we are with that, and get it actually on the site and ready to go. But yeah, you can certainly look into it.
Gil has a question.
No, just a suggestion. I'm wondering if, and in addition to the suggestions that Natalie made in regards to um, providing information to the public, I wonder if we couldn't include two other things. One is to get involved, excuse me, the Get Involved app over on with the town website or the town Facebook page or whatever, to get more people involved looking at that particular application. And secondly, the Alertable app. I saw a lot of complaints on Facebook just recently about an incident that occurred, and people say, well, I didn't get the alert. Nobody notified me. And I think the problem is that there's a lot of people out there that are not engaged or haven't signed up for the Alertable app, and it's extremely informative. So things like, well, just any number of things, and they're prioritized according to how serious the incident is. So it might be something simple like a road closure, or it might be something more important like in regards to evacuations or lost children or whatever. So I'm wondering if we could include those, because I think they are tied to accessibility.
Sure. Yeah, I don't disagree with you there, Gil. We can do that. I think I know what incident you're referring to on the weekend, and that one's a bit different because it's not so much about being signed up for alertable is one thing, but I think a lot of complaints that I saw were people were expecting an Amber Alert for that particular situation, but they didn't issue an Amber Alert. So if you had Alertable, you would have gotten a notification, and it automatically posts Alert Ready system. I didn't post that. It was on our Facebook page. Some people thought the town posted it, but the ones that go from the RCMP through the Alert Ready system automatically post to our page, which is good, I think, because in those situations it gets the information out there. But I think some people were expecting an alert on their phone.
Oh, no,
And
I don't doubt that, Michael. It's not,
Yeah.
that wasn't my, I agree that the Amber Alert system probably would have taken care of that. However, I think the Alertable system is something that's underutilized I don't think there's enough people in town that are registered and
Yeah.
should be.
Absolutely. Anytime I can push that number up, for sure. I agree.
Okay.
So we could have quite an information booth there. I'm just wondering, Natalie, following up on your suggestion, should we have like a pop-up banner identifying the accessibility committee, something to I guess just identify our presence?
I would say yes. So I've written down a bunch of things here, but if Steve, Mr. Chair, and anyone else is part of that organizing, they can get together with Mike and I. Mike, would you say we would kind of need 4 weeks lead time to get this organized? I know I'm out of bandwidth this week and next week.
Most definitely, for sure.
So, Mr. Chair, if yourself or others would like to get together with Mike and I, we can arrange a time during the workday to come up with all of the things, put together a game plan, I guess, and then start to work on the materials that you'd want, because we need to get them to suppliers to produce.
Absolutely. I have, for what it's worth, now I've not heard back yet. I have sent some inquiries out to the people that I've talked to with regards to the Gutsy Walk, Crows and Colitis Society. I have sent some inquiries out trying to get some more information on the Go Here wrap. That's not happening yet, but then again, it's a bit early too. So I am trying to get some more information, maybe even some literature that we can pass out. Tanya just sent me, I believe, Tanya, you here?
Yes, yeah. Sorry, I was late.
Okay. You sent me a message with regards to the arthritis group. Would you talk about that?
I sure can. Yeah, my niece lives with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, and her mom sent me the link and asked me to share it with the accessibility committee. The grant just opened on June the 6th. It's open to either community action groups or individuals looking to explore local solutions in communities around barriers for them. So it's just something that I wanted to put forth that was brought to my attention because they know that I'm on the accessibility committee. So sharing the information and willing to explore it more before the end of the month if someone would like to look at that with me.
Okay.
I mean, it's really something that we should probably get out to maybe some senior groups as well, because local senior groups like I'm just going to draw a blank right now, but I volunteer at some of the ones in Yarmouth to do the cooking on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And so Senior Second Chance Club is one, and there could be some funding available there for them. I know that when I work there, that sometimes some of the equipment, like the knives and stuff for paring, are quite difficult to use. So maybe we could help them explore some opportunities to get some things that would be more helpful to them. So yeah, but I'm
Okay.
going to look into it a little more, Stephen.
I'll make sure to take a look at it.
The link is in the chat for anybody that wants to share it with groups that they're involved with, or.
Okay, I see it now. Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I just have item 9C.
Pardon me? 5.
I just have item 9C.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's where we're at. Go ahead. Is that
so
you?
the town along with the District of Yarmouth and the District of Argyle will be submitting for a municipal innovation grant. The grant scope is to develop or to expand our interactive accessibility map Yarmouth County wide. So we would be partnering with Argyle and District of Yarmouth, and the two students, Ryan and Charlie, would be the lead developers on that. So just wanted to keep you up to date on that. We probably wouldn't know if we were awarded the grant until later in the summer, late August, early September. And if we were to be awarded, then the development of that grant would happen in parallel with them going to university and college. So that might, be ready for the following tourism season. So just want to let you know that that's what we're applying for. So taking what we've already done and improving it and spreading it countywide.
It was really impressive what those students took on. It really opened up some eyes, and it was really good to see that the younger generation is looking out for persons with accessibilities. It kind of warmed the heart. Any other comments or questions on that? Okay, I'm going to move on to Mike in the town website committee profile. I seen the Facebook profile, and as I was mentioning before, it looked good. Mike.
Yeah, so I guess it's been a couple of weeks ago now, just before I sort of skipped out on vacation. I did that social media post, and I'm assuming most of you saw it, and it had some information.
Yes.
It was for Accessibility Week, and just gave you guys, our volunteers, a plug for everything you guys do. And the post directed people to the page. I just dropped that page into the chat if anybody wanted to click on it if they haven't seen it, but it's basically a sort of bio page, which is also, you can also find it under living in our main menu on the website, and there's a link on the accessibility page as well. So if anybody has any issues with, I pretty much just took your bios and tweaked them a little bit, and everybody sent me photos, so thank you. Everything is there as far as I know, but if there's something missing or something you want changed, just send me an email and I can update it.
Questions, concern, thoughts?
I thought it was great myself. I really, thank you, Michael.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. Oh, moving on to 10, moving on to 10A. This basically goes to Gil. Gil sent me a text message about the Blind Square app. I sent a message off to Sherry. Sherry says she's familiar with it, but never used it. So I tried to find it, and I gotta admit, I had trouble finding it. So I'll let Gil talk about it.
Okay, well, just very quickly, this only came to my attention a few weeks ago, and there's a community, and forgive me if I don't remember the community, I think it's in Ontario, that has adopted the Blind Square app. And basically what it is, and I think it would fit really well hand in glove with the accessibility map that has been presented. But the Blind Square app basically allows people that are visually impaired using GPS to do things like, for example, identify where there's a bus stop. And there would be as I understand it, there would be on your phone, for example, if you're looking for a bus stop, it would verbally or vocally or orally tell you that the bus stop is right here. And so I think it would fit hand in glove with the accessibility map that's already been accepted. And I can provide additional information, but I just want to bring people's attention to it. I think it'd be great for the people in the community that are visually impaired to help them using GPS technology to identify exactly where they're at in the community.
Okay.
At this point, it was just to bring it to the attention of the committee. I will look into it further, and if I think that it's a good fit with the accessibility map that we have, then I will certainly make sure that information gets to the people that need to have it.
I'm going to say definitely requires, I definitely going to look at it a bit more. Simply because I don't know enough about it, but if it's a good fit, if it's something we can use in Yarmouth, and I say absolutely, more power to us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will get some information and a link, and I will send that out to everybody in the committee.
Yeah. So I'm just really going to say on this, we'll just leave it open for now and look at it some more over the summer. And we'll come back to it, discuss it again. And is everybody okay with that? Okay. Gil, Mariner Center Expansion Board.
So at this point, Mr. Chair, not knowing which way the Mariner Center expansion is going to unfold, I will say this. When the Mariner Center was constructed, one of the issues that we had at the Mariner Center was the washrooms that are associated to the two rinks. Some time ago, we got a grant actually, and pursued grant opportunities through the province and through the Rick Hansen Foundation to make Arena 1, the main arena, sledge hockey friendly. So we spent, there was a fair amount of labor that went into that. And I think there was, in addition to the labor costs, which were absorbed by the Mariner Center, there was approximately $65,000 in additional expense. But it took quite a while, but we adapted Arena 1 to be sledge hockey friendly. I think we're one of only a few arenas in the province of Nova Scotia, and I'm only aware of 2 others offhand that are sledge hockey friendly. The problem we have at our arena is that the washrooms or locker room washrooms and shower rooms that are associated to the dressing rooms are not accessible. So we're basically telling sledge hockey participants that, yeah, we can get you on the ice and you can play sledge hockey, but God help you if you need to use a washroom, because there's no place to go. So I guess it's, the reason I'm bringing this up now is that, there's a planned expansion at the Mariner Center at the present time. And I would just hope that, and I guess hope and encourage that any plans for an expansion or a redevelopment of the Mariner Center would be sympathetic to the fact that we need accessible washrooms associated to the arena. And so any new build, I guess my fear is that if we don't identify the need for this, that a new build could take place, which would prevent any further development of the arena itself. We would be unable in the future to correct that deficiency. And so what I'm suggesting is that this committee make that concern known to the Mariner Center Expansion Board, that in fact, if you're going to expand the Mariner Center, please be considerate of the fact that the dressing rooms do not have accessible washrooms.
Okay, well, there's two things that come to mind here is, well, really just one is what is non-accessible, because I don't recall that we've ever done or that an audit has been performed of that particular building. If they are not accessible, let's, as a committee, take a look at it and view our findings to them before they expand and say, look, we've looked at your issue, we've looked at your bathrooms, we've looked at the building, and these issues, be it the physical building, be it the program, are not accessible. Please make these changes when you tell them that we've noticed.
I can say this, and this is prior to my time, that the expansion of the Mariner Center, the original expansion, which added, I think, 40 or 50 feet to the building and allowed for the seating at the west end, there were barrier-free washrooms that were constructed in that area on the second floor on the concourse level. And even though there were barrier-free washrooms, when I was managing the facility, I became aware of the fact that, they were barrier-free, but once you accessed the washroom, there were no stalls that were that permitted that were accessible. There were no sinks that were accessible. So you eliminated the physical doorway, but that's all you've done. And so it cost about $65,000 to correct that deficiency. In this case, my fear is that the deficiency that exists in the locker rooms will be cemented, I guess, for the future, if in fact something happens in the expansion that prevents any change in the future to those particular areas. So I just want the Mariner Center Expansion Board to be considerate of the fact that these washrooms, these locker rooms, these 4 locker rooms that exist in Arena 1, where the sledge hockey is available, and but that even though I want them to be considerate of the fact that at some point, whether it be now during the expansion or at some point in the future, there be the ability to create accessible washrooms associated to those dressing rooms. I have no doubt that the new build, whatever it is, the expansion, I have no doubt under existing legislation and rules that in fact, any new washrooms that are constructed associated with, for example, an aquatic center, any new washrooms would be fully accessible. I have no doubt that'll take place. My fear is that the expansion may prevent the future development of the existing washrooms to be accessible friendly. So
Peter, you work there. Do you have any comment on this? Okay, we lost Peter.
I'm here. I had to find where to turn my mic on. My complaint, I guess, on the washrooms at the rink is getting in there with the wheelchair and then having enough room to transfer to the toilet was sometimes an issue, but I find it's more of a problem with the Mariners on Main than it is at the Mariner Center.
Okay. Laura, do you use the Mariner Center at all? Have you had issues?
I've only been in the building a couple times, so I really can't say much about that. But I do know that a lot of washrooms everywhere, there's always something wrong with them. And then and sometimes there's not enough room for a wheelchair to get in. And then as Peter was saying, to get to the toilet from the wheelchair, there's not enough room to maneuver. And then just about everywhere, there's not much places that are accessible for this. But I find like to reach the toilet paper, whatever, the paper towel, I mean, and then the soap, they're all like non-reachable. They're far away from, if you're sitting down, those are impossible too. Just about everywhere, not everywhere, but lots of places.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I don't believe that there's been an audit of the Mariner Center completed. I may stand corrected, but because it's owned by now 3 municipal units, I don't know that there's ever been an audit of that particular facility that's been completed.
Okay. I don't feel that I'm necessarily can go in and audit it. I'm certainly not qualified to do that, but I can go in as accessibility director, and I can reach out to my municipal counterparts and talk to them. And maybe we can meet up this summer and take a walkthrough and see.
Yeah, I guess where I'm coming from, Mr. Chair, there may be some urgency to this because the Mariner Center Expansion Board will be making decisions in the very near future on the development of the property. And my concern is that once that is etched in stone, once that plan is put in place, that there may be no future capability of correcting the deficiency that exists.
Yeah, I totally understand, and I don't know enough about laws and whatnot. Will they claim these bathrooms to be grandfathered in and not have to renovate them? I don't know. I'm totally, it's not my area of issue, but yeah, I think I have no problem with issuing notes and letters from this committee suggesting that they be brought up to code. I'd like to see what I'm writing about though before I go ahead and do it. Lori? Okay. So I will reach out and see if they will let me come in and take a look with me I'm gonna bring in somebody from the municipality so that it doesn't look like it's just me, but some other municipality, and see if we can look at it together. And then absolutely make recommendations that they include the bathrooms that are not accessible to bring them up to code so that they are. Especially, I don't understand why, if we're accessible to sledge hockey, which is great, why they wouldn't consider the fact that they have to use the washroom.
Yeah, here's the issue, Mr. Chair, is that the Mariner Center was constructed some 25 years ago. And at the time of construction, there were decisions made by a very small building committee that didn't take into consideration certain things. And one of them was, in fact, the washrooms. But
it's our job.
Things have changed in 25 years. And as I say, we did a lot of work to make Arena 1 sledge hockey friendly. But my concern is this, only that I don't suggest that this has to be done tomorrow. What I suggest is that nothing be done tomorrow that prevents this from ever happening in the future. And that's my concern.
And I think it's our job as a committee. That's why we were formed.
Absolutely.
To make recommendation.
Yeah.
of future buildings to include budget lines to upgrade their facilities, to include removing barriers for all people.
So thank you for that. And having said that, I do suggest to you that there is some sense of urgency to this.
Absolutely. I'll get on it tonight, I promise.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And now I'll stop talking.
I don't want to drop this yet. Any other questions with regards to what Gail has said? Questions or comments, I should say?
I'll make a comment that when Gil was there, he did a lot of work because my mother benefited from it.
Yeah.
It was huge for my mother to be able to watch in the other arena, to be able to watch her grandson play hockey, where it couldn't have happened before. But as soon as Gil was aware of it, things changed. So, and nothing against anybody on the Mariner Center expansion board, but you have to have somebody that's really thinking about those issues involved, and thinking of accessibility when things are built, because if not, they're going to have to try to do it later when money's tight and stuff. But Gil did an amazing job, and I thank him, and my mother would thank him for years to come, that he recognized an issue and dealt with it right away.
And I'm going to go out, and again, I'm thinking out loud here, but Tracy, do we have any clients who, first of all, play sledge hockey? Because I'm not aware of any off the top of my head. And do we have any individuals that have experienced barriers with these washrooms?
Not that I'm aware of, but as was mentioned earlier, people are pretty used to making do with facilities that aren't quite up to their standards. So sometimes you really just have to go out and ask. So it might be something that we could do within the agency, just to ask people that question and see what response we get, because people do really figure it out themselves. And
do I have permission to ask?
Yeah, no, we could work on that, Steve.
Yep. Okay. I want to make sure I've got as much information as I can before I sit down and talk to this board and say, look, these are what we found.
And on that topic, speaking of people making decisions and being in the know, we go to the Arc quite a bit. And this weekend we were back again. We've been there quite a few weekends in a row. And the person running the Arc is very good and gets my mom settled in the front, but there's not a cutout for her seat. So she's sitting, if you're in a wheelchair at the Arc, you're sitting in front of the chairs. But that's because of the design of an older building. So interesting enough, we had a good conversation this weekend, and they need to get new chairs and new carpet. So she said she's very interested in, when this happens, to make it accessible, but is looking for input on it, because she was thinking at once we could put all the wheelchairs in the front and not have any chairs. But I said, in my opinion, just, being with my mom a lot, that's not really equitable and fair, because you should have the right to sit next to somebody as well. So I said cutouts as opposed to just a whole row of places for wheelchairs. And she was very happy to have that suggestion. I mean, they need a lot of money in order to do it, but I think when things change, I think she'll be reaching out for some advice on that. But I think if you don't have the lived experience, which I don't, but I have through my mom, if you don't have that lived experience, you sometimes aren't really sure of what the best way of moving forward is. And I think that's what happens with these bathrooms. You have an architect that doesn't have mobility issues or site issues or whatever, and they build these bathrooms not thinking, if I put the toilet paper too high or the paper towel too high, somebody in a wheelchair can't reach it. And it's incredibly frustrating, I think, I can imagine it would be for the people that are, living this every day. And it seems so simple, but they. And I see Natalie has her hand up.
And I will comment on what Derek said. Sometimes it is just a matter that little things are overlooked. I went in there a couple of nights or a few times, and I've noticed that the wheelchair row is filled with wheelchairs, but the wheelchairs are having to, the people in the wheelchairs are having to work around the equipment that was left there. Be it soundboard, be it cameras, be it whatever. There's like a competition for space and there wasn't enough room. That was, again, a while ago. Natalie, you have a question?
Just wanted to mention that there is a CSA accessibility standard for the built environment that identifies everything that's needed for a barrier-free washroom and any other environment. So
Yep.
it is in the building code. So as a reference point of what is needed, you know, with some of the comments that Lori has made and Peter has made, like there is a standard for where everything needs to happen. So the bathroom, washroom not only needs to be adaptive for adults, but it needs to be adaptive for children who might have accessibility. So there's the whole age range because it's an all persons facility. So there are standards out there. You can, I can send it to you guys so that you can see the graphic image, which is a little bit easier to see. This is what goes in there. And, you know, Mr. Chair or Councillor Dares, that's something that's very blatant. Show me on the plan where this will exist and it will look like this.
Gil's got a question?
No, just a comment, just to let you know that I do serve as a town representative of the American Center Expansion Board. And I can assure you that any build in the new facility, the new expansion will certainly comply or be in compliance with any accessibility standards. And that's not my concern. My concern is only that the new build might prevent the eventual renovation to the existing facility that would allow for barrier-free or accessible washrooms. So that's where my intent was, that before we add on to the building, let's make sure that we don't do something that we can't back out of later.
Yeah, I see Gil's point on this one, and I don't know enough about CSA law to know whether or not they would encourage or make law that says, okay, you're upgrading, you have to upgrade these bathrooms. I have no doubt that any new bathrooms will meet accessibility standards. But is there law that's suggesting that when you upgrade, you have to bring these bathrooms up, these other areas up to code?
Just to add in, so from a building official's point of view, so when a building permit is issued, it is to the code of the day. It's to the code of the day. So in 2024, I believe the updated building code to the provincial Nova Scotia will be in place, and it will have those accessibility requirements. But certainly, to Councillor Dare's point of view, a property owner can be more stringent depending on who's accessing the space to accommodate those needs.
Okay. Natalie's going to send the code out. I will sit down and read the code, absolutely, and see what I can find from that. Any other comments, questions, or thoughts? Okay. Was there a 10C under new business? I believe we said something and I didn't write it down.
I was going to talk about core boards just for information, and I think maybe at a future meeting we can talk about some action if we wanted to do it. But core boards are a chance for somebody who's nonverbal to point at something. So you put them on the wall and they can point to what they're looking at or what they are interested in doing, or things they can't say. And I know like Port Maitland School just incorporated one in their school. And I think if I'm not, I think maybe Yakro, Tracy, I'm not 100% sure, but I think at least one or two of the Yakro homes might have incorporated that in as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. But they're starting to use them more in schools. I don't know if, Tracy, if you're aware if they're using them at Yakro.
Yeah, we use PECs, which
Yeah.
Steve would be familiar with. So very similar. There's a few out there, but it's the same concept.
So I know the one at Port Maitland School was designed by the assistive technology people at in the region, and then L&N Signs built it like on chloroplast or whatever. They're not expensive, but I think down the road it might be a good idea for us to look at when we're doing these projects like Mariners on Main. If so many nonverbals there, is it possible that they, like, how are they going to tell somebody they need to use the washroom if they're there on their own? Or, Beacon Park's another example, or like parks that we own, or even the trails. Is there an opportunity for somebody to say, this is what I need at this point if they're nonverbal? And talking about accessibility, we often think of mobility, but I think, hearing the story of Port Maitland just today and then doing that, I thought, what a proactive, it was good. It's good that they did that. It was very proactive for them to put that in place. And I thought we should be also thinking on the same lines of some of the properties the town owns. It's a very inexpensive thing to do. I wouldn't think it'd be more than a couple $100s to get a sign made up at L&N Signs and on the wall, but it's an opportunity for somebody nonverbal to be able to communicate some of their needs, and whether it's the Mariner Center or Mariners on Main or Beacon Park or whatever. But I just wanted to bring it to people's attention. If you Google core boards, you can see they're often used in parks and stuff as well. So anyway, I wanted to bring people's attention to it.
Just to comment on what Derek said, I was actually thinking that when I prepare a report for the Mariners Center was to talk about picture exchange communication. I've actually sat down with 2 or 3 camps. I can't remember just how many. And one of the things I talk about is dealing with autism. And with autism, we do use a lot of picture exchange communications. And I took probably 24 PEX cards into these camp meetings that I had and handed them to the staff. And I said, okay, take these cards and I want you to have a communication. Don't say anything. But it was a great way of teaching students. I said, here, you've got 24 cards. I want you to have a conversation about your day using just these cards. And they were naturally, after a while, they were able to do it. But yeah, it is often that we forget. I would like to see how you incorporate it into the schools. Because actually I've never seen that. I've only ever seen it on an individual level. I would love to see it on a broader level. And I was thinking that when we look at Beacon Park, it would be nice to have a board that people could pick pictures of, swing, bathroom, whatever. Definitely for nonverbals, as Derek was saying.
I think it'd be interesting to try somewhere, like whether it's a park or in a building or whatever the case is, to try somewhere that the town runs to see what feedback people might have for it. And I'm thinking Yakro might be able to get some of the best feedback. But I'm just curious as to, I mean, I don't have any lived experience in that, but when I heard it was happening at Port Maitland School, and I plan to go out probably next week and see it, and I'll try to get some pictures, but I thought it's really proactive. And I think the principal there, Tanya DeViller, is very proactive anyway when it comes to that inclusion. So it was great to hear that they were doing, and I thought we easily could be doing that without a lot of cost as well. But it's something, for a future meeting maybe we could discuss as well.
It's extremely proactive. I know one camp that basically took up one of their walls in their public buildings and did up their schedule using the PEX program. And it wasn't just for the nonverbal ones. It basically, you take a kid that can't read that well. They come in, they look at the picture, they know exactly what's going to happen in their schedule. So it's a win-win situation for them. So I would encourage anyone that has a program like that to use a PEX system. So, any other questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, and if somebody's thinking about they want to use a PEX system, they don't know how, give me a shout. I've done a dozen of them. So,
I just put a link on, first thing I Googled when I typed in core boards was some samples if anybody wanted to look at it, just to see what an outdoor one would look like, that for the general public.
yep. Like I said, they're easy enough to do. The only advice I would give you is invest in a good color printer. Is that the end of the agenda that I have?
Yes, Mr. Chair, it's just identifying the date for the next meeting and then adjourning.
Okay, yeah, I was seeing that. Next meeting. We're gonna break for the summer. I do understand that. So that will put us in September. I know September we get a little kerfuffle with everybody going back to school, and I don't want to interfere with that. So when do we go back to school? Is it the first week of September?
I think it's the first week in September starts on a Friday, so it wouldn't be the Friday, it would be the following week. Like, I think 4th is Labor Day, maybe. So like 5th, 6th, I think, of September.
Okay. I'm gonna pull up my calendar here. So the second Tuesday that I have in September is the 12th. Is that good for everybody? Right now, is it good for everybody? I know it can change a moment's notice. Okay, if I don't have any qualms, I will say I will list it as September the 12th, 6 o'clock. Natalie, can you tell Sherry?
Yes, I certainly will.
Okay. So I will write that down. If that becomes an issue and you can't make it, please send either myself, Natalie, or Sherry an email, and we'll get back to you. Other than that, that's all I have. And I would like to wish everybody a great summer. And just because we're not meeting doesn't mean the accessibility issues are not there. If you see something, know something, give me a shout. Okay? Good night, all.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Right.